to the cloud of Islam, and you will discover the light of Iman. Proclaim this message entrusted to you, and the cloud of Islam will carry you.
قال الله تعالى في شأن حبيبه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن هي إلا أسماء سميتموها ها أنتم وآباؤكم ما أنزل الله بها من سلطان إن يتبعون إلا الظن وما تهوى الأنفس ولقد جاءهم من ربهم الهدى صدق الله العظيم. My dear brethren, this evening reminds me about my previous visit to this mosque. On the very first time that I came to the Cape, our late Imam Abdullah Harun, he invited me to your masjid, and I can't seem to forget that event when the late Imam Abdullah Harun introduced me to the congregation. He was doing it in Afrikaans. I can't speak Afrikaans, but I can follow a few words. And in his introduction, pointing to me, in Afrikaans, says, "Daar is Bilal van Afrika." That I understood, that this is the Bilal of Africa. And I felt very happy and proud that he considered me as the voice of Sayyidina Bilal in Africa at the present moment. I was very, very happy indeed. We miss him dearly. May Allah Bari Ta'ala give him Jannatul Firdaus, our late Imam Abdullah Harun. Now that same Sayyidina Bilal, this satanic Salman, what he calls him in his book, he calls him that bum, astaghfirullah, that black monster with a voice to match his size, and on and on. We will not go into details at that present moment. But now, last night, I delivered a talk in the Surrey Estate Masjid, and I used certain verses, 4 verses prior to the one I read to you tonight. The verse I read to you tonight is from Surah Najm, chapter 53, ayah number 23. But last night I dealt with ayah number 19, 20, 21, 22. But that was from a different angle. That how Allah Bari Ta'ala uses psychology in approaching different types of people differently. That was the purpose of last night's quotation from Surah Najm, ayahs 19, 20, 21, 22. Tonight 23 is again takes us to another line altogether, from which we get this title. This Satan, Salman, he has derived for his book the satanic verses. How come? Where do they come from? This title, the satanic verses. How did he conjure it? How did he contrive it? How did he concoct it? This is what he quotes in his book. That in the early days of Islam, before the Hijrah, in Makkah, our Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, around the Kaaba, he's surrounded by the mushriks of Makkah, and he's made to proclaim. He's made to proclaim, أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ اللَّاتَ وَالْعُزَّى. Have you seen Al-Lat and Al-Uzza, وَمَنَاةَ الثَّالِثَةَ الْأُخْرَى, and Al-Manat, the third beside? أَلَكُمُ الذَّكَرُ وَلَهُ الْأُنْثَى. He said, what sons for you and daughters for me? تِلْكَ إِذًا قِسْمَةٌ ضِيزَى. This is a very unfair division. Now, I dealt with that from the psychological aspect. What was the reason for that type of approach? Allah Bari Ta'ala is delivering the message. But as soon as he came to that, and he came to ayah number 23, where he says, in here, which means these are the tone of the message that is coming, that look, sons for you and daughters for me, Allah says, very unfair. Even according to your sense of justice and fair play, you mushriks, you know that is not right. In here, these are. The mushriks, they knew what to expect. That here is a condemnation coming. So, among the human devils, so we have all types of people among us. It is said that that devil, shaitan, interjected. But that shaitan was not the type of shaitan that the Westerner draws in his art. You know, he draws shaitan, the devil. If you have seen pictures of the devil, if it's in color, it will be a reddy complexion, like fire. Then he has horns, he has sharp ears, he has a tail with a barbed hook. Now you know that type of devil doesn't exist. Did you know that? You know, there is no such devil. Because if there was such a devil, we'll be on guard. Am I right? If a devil like that came to whisper to you, will you stand there? Will you wait? Will you listen to him? The guy with the sharp horns and with big ears like a donkey and with a tail with a barbed hook. You wait and listen to him? No, you run for your life. But the devil is handsome like me or the best of us. Yes. Shaitans. You see, in the guise of angels, they come to you in the guise of angels. They mean, we wish you well, and the guy takes you astray. It's easier that way than to come along with horns and with the tail. You see? So the devil that tradition talks about is one of the mushriks of Makkah. The clever fellow. The clever devil. Don't you say the clever devil? Who is he? He's one of us. The clever devil. He interjected. He knew what was coming. And this is done, usually they do it in politics. You see, in hecklers, you have hecklers. You know, when a man is talking, you interject. He's trying to say something, you put a word into his mouth, which he doesn't want to utter. So, this human devil, this clever Alec, like Abu Jahl, you know Abu Jahl? Very famous. He gave a lot of trouble to our Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the early Muslims. A lot of trouble. Abu Jahl. What is Abu Jahl? It means father of ignorance. He is the father of ignorance. Ignorance, and he is the father of it. Means the most ignorant fellow. Was he? No. He was the cleverest of the Arabs. Wallah, he was the cleverest. He was about one of the half a dozen in the whole of Arabia who could read and write. In the whole of Arabia, in the time of our Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there were only about half a dozen in the whole of Arabia who could read and write, and he was one of them. His real title was Abul Hikmah, father of wisdom. He's the wisest of the Arabs. But our Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, seeing his stubbornness, his stubborn resistance to truth, that all his knowledge couldn't make him to see the light of truth, our Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, he is not Abul Hikmah, he is not the father of wisdom, he is Abu Jahl. And that nickname got stuck onto him, father of ignorance, but he was no ignorant fool. He was the shrewdest of the Arabs, Abu Jahl. So there were others also like him. The guy interjected while our Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is delivering the message. He's reading on as Allah Bari Ta'ala is putting through him, through Akhi Jibreel, the wahi, the revelation. So in hiya illa asma'un sammaytumuha. These are names that you have invented. Ha antum wa abaukum, you and your fathers. He's reading that on. But when he said, yeah, in here, that shaitan interjected. That human shaitan. He said, these are the daughters of God, and their intercession can be accepted. In Arabic, the interjection came. You see, these are the clever people. There's always types of things going on. In political meetings, most especially. It is said that Lloyd George, the Prime Minister, at one time Prime Minister of Britain, England, he was at a political meeting. And while he's delivering his talk, trying to get people to vote for him, some clever devil, he interjected. He says, Lloyd, you know your father was a donkey cart driver. What's the connection? But this happens. Your father was a donkey cart driver. So Lloyd George, he had the presence of mind, got taken aback. How are you going to respond to that? So he says, yes, I remember. So I don't know what happened to the cart, but the donkey is still here. You are the donkey. Really, he's a donkey. He's a real devil, you see. The donkey is still here. The cart, I don't know what happened to the cart. You see, these are the clever people. There's always types of things going on. In political meetings, most especially. It is said that Lloyd George, the Prime Minister, at one time Prime Minister of Britain, England, he was at a political meeting. And while he's delivering his talk, trying to get people to vote for him, some clever devil, he interjected. He says, Lloyd, you know your father was a donkey cart driver. What's the connection? But this happens. Your father was a donkey cart driver. So Lloyd George, he had the presence of mind, got taken aback. How are you going to respond to that? So he says, yes, I remember. So I don't know what happened to the cart, but the donkey is still here. You are the donkey. Really, he's a donkey. He's a real devil, you see. The donkey is still here. The cart, I don't know what happened to the cart. So Allah Bari Ta'ala is carrying on with it. In hiya illa asma'un sammaytumuha antum wa aba'ukum ma anzalallahu biha min sultan. For which Allah has given you no authority that you should attribute daughters to Allah. In yattabi'una illa zan. This is only conjecture, guesswork. Your fiction, imagination. وَمَا تَهْوَى الْأَنفُسِ, your own ego, satisfying your own ego, your own desires. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَهُمْ مِنْ رَبِّهُمُ الْهُدَى. Whereas from the beginning, Allah Bari Ta'ala has given you knowledge, guidance about the right. You had received it, and yet you're going off the track. So now, while this thing is going on, and that's the interjection that took place, everybody couldn't hear the Prophet ﷺ because the crowd is big. It has attracted a lot of people. Some people heard our Nabi Kareem ﷺ completing the ayah. Somebody heard the interjection. And he says, man, who said that? He said, perhaps now Muhammad has relented. He is now compromising. He has reached a compromise. So the mischief maker started spreading that. Look, things are all right now. Muhammad says now, look, you can worship Allah, and you can worship Allah, Al-Manat, Al-Uzza. You can ask them to intercede on your behalf. He says, man, now look, now we're going to have peace among the Quraysh. Muhammad has made an honorable compromise. So this story reached, slowly, in time, it reached Abyssinia. The Muhajirin, the Muslims had migrated to Abyssinia. The persecution of the mushriks. They forced the Sahabas to migrate to Abyssinia. They get the news that, look, now there is peace in Makkah. You see, our Nabi Kareem ﷺ and the mushriks, they have come to an understanding. That, you carry on your way, we carry on our way, look, we go together. We don't want division in the community. So they came back. In the meantime, of course, this thing didn't last for long here. As soon as our Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam heard that, the rumors are going around that, there is a compromise, he came out condemning this. He says, no, this is false. And the persecution grew worse. It was worse than before. So by the time the Sahabas had returned, the Muhajirin had returned from Abyssinia, the things were worse than before. So they had to migrate a second time. Second time they had to flee. Now, Salman Rushdie, this shaitan, he says this was part of the Quran. Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did make a compromise. And later on second thought, he took it out. That is from where he gets the title, The Satanic Verses. Then from there he builds up to insinuate that the scribes, you see, our Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was an ummi, one who didn't know how to read or write. So as the revelation came, he had to ask the scribes to write down what was given to him by inspiration, by wahi. For example, if the revelation came, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. He's asking the scribe, write it down. Write down. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. What did you write? Say, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say, He is Allah, the one and only. Allahu samad. God the eternal absolute. Write it. They wrote it. What did you write? Allahu samad. So, lam yalid wa lam yulad. He begets not, nor is he begotten. The scribe wrote it down. So what did you write? So, lam yalid wa lam yulad. So, walam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad, and there's nothing like unto him. So his scribe writes it. Walam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. What did you write? So, walam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. This is how the dictation took place. This is how it was written, and this is how it was confirmed. So now he creates an imaginary situation where he puts now Salman Farsi, Salman the Persian. He calls him that bum from Persia. Salman Farsi, the Sahaba of our Nabi. In his book he calls him that bum from Persia, Salman. He was told to write down. So he writes. Then our Nabi is asking, what have you written? He was asked to write. He says, Allah is all-knowing, all-hearing. So he would write, Allah is all-knowing, all-seeing. He was told, Allah is all-knowing, all-hearing. He would write, just trying it out, whether Muhammad knows his presence of mind, whether he really knows what he's dictating, or he's just, just thinking loudly and anything can pass. So what did you write? Say, Allah is all-knowing, all-seeing. So the Prophet looks at him, smiles, and says, it's possible. Passes it. Our Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, under inspiration, is telling them to write something about the Christian. He changes the word Christian to Jew. So what did you write? So he reads, the Jew. So the Prophet smiles. He says, no, I think the word Jew is preferable, is better than writing Christian. So in other words, he's insinuating that this is how things have crept into the Quran without the Prophet knowing what's going on. That means the scribes are taking him for a ride. These are the satanic verses in the Quran. This is the title of his book. The things that insinuation, swearings, open swearing, which I can't utter in the masjid. I don't know how I'm going to do it tomorrow. As our brother, our Imam Baker introduced, he said, I'm going to walk a tightrope. Shall I or shall I not? Shall I utter the word or what can I do? The respect that you have for me. And the respect goes. He said, Deedat, Ahmed Deedat can utter such filthy, dirty words. See, our cases have been going by default. Because we are crying. We are crying to the verses, look, he swore my mother. So what did he say? So no, very, very bad. What did he say? So no, I can't say. To the Western, it's a big joke. He saw your mother. He called your mother names, which, of course, difficult for you to utter. This is what he called my mother. But now in a court of law, when you present your case, you have to say what he said. You can't say terrible, horrible. I can't say it. This is what you're crying about. So that part we're going to deal with tomorrow night. But to us, the wives of the prophets, he treats them as prostitutes. The language he uses, all the wives of the prophets, he creates a brothel. You know a brothel? Where all the prostitutes live. And he creates 12 characters there in the brothel. And each and every one, he gives the names of our mothers. The wives of the prophets, prophet are our mothers. Who says so? We heard. But no, this is what Allah says. In His holy book, it says, "An-nabiyyu awla bil-mu'minina min anfusihim." It says, the prophet is closer to you, to the believer, to the mu'min, than their own selves, and you are to yourself. They are even closer than that to you. Spiritual relationship with Allah's Rasul is so close that my blood brother is nothing. I can sacrifice him for Allah and His Rasul. They are closer to us. The Prophet is closer to us than our own flesh and blood, or we to ourselves. وَأَزْوَاجُهُ ummahatuhum, and his wives are your mothers. Allah says so. Where does he say that? He says that in Surah Ahzab. Ahzab. Where is Surah Ahzab? In this Quran, 2,000 pages. Where will you find it? Very difficult. Most especially for us, non-Arabs. Very difficult. Maybe the Hafiz al-Quran, he knows. The Imam knows. But generally, where do we find Ahzab? And it is a practice, it is a beautiful practice, that anytime any learned man, he gives you references from the Holy Quran, take the trouble of going home and opening the Quran and verifying it. Not that you doubt the speaker, that I have reason to bluff you, or the Imam has any reason to bluff you. No. By you doing that, by you taking Surah Ahzab, where is Ahzab? Ask the Imam, what surah number is that? So he says Surah 33. And the ayah I quoted is from ayah 6, verse number 6. So right, let me go home and check up. Ahzab, chapter 33, I was told. Every page is numbered, so it's easy to find. 33, ayah number 6. You read it. See it with your own eyes. You read it, utter it. Read the commentary, the tafsir. Now that becomes a part of you. It's a knowledge which you have gained now, you'll be able to retain far better than we just heard in passing. The Imam said, "Allazina awla min an-nabiyyu awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim wa azwajuhum ummahatuhum." You heard it? There's something that, our Nabi is very close to us, and his wives are our mothers. We heard it, and we accept. But by seeing with our own eyes, uttering those words and reading the commentary, that becomes a part of us, that we in turn will be able to share with other people. You can share, and the more you share, the more it becomes firm, a part of your knowledge. It becomes your capital.